Hey, Brook Scholars, welcome back to Remote Learning with me, Mr. Scott. How are you? And happy Thursday to you and your family. Got a nonfiction text here today. And so, for this nonfiction reading, you are going to need a paper and a pencil to do some annotating, my friends. So, if you don't have a pencil and a piece of paper, I need you to press pause on this video, go off and get the stuff you need. Okay, so here is the sheet that I am going to be using, and I'd like you to make yours look like mine. We have the name and date at the top. Life in a Deep Freeze is the title of this nonfiction text. And then we've got four different, let me see if I can make that, there we go. We've got four different sections. Each section is going to teach us some new information, of course. So those are animals survive, escape artists, the layered look, and dressed for winter. Now, if you need to, press pause on the video now and you can copy down those headings. I've underlined them, and again, as always, I've left a space right here underneath each one so that I can write out my sentence. Remember, the annotations are a sentence, a note that you take in order to remember everything that you've learned from that section. Okay, so let us begin. Life in a deep freeze. Deep freeze. I'm getting cold. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable. It's quite a title by Sandra Markle. Okay, well, let's read the introduction and see what's what. How do animals survive the Arctic's cold winters? Ooh, geez. Okay, so we're talking about animals in this article. We are in the Arctic, which is incredibly cold, but I imagine it's even colder when it's winter time. So it's going to be a whole thing. Let's see what this is all about. It's noon and dark and very cold, minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow and ice blanket the region. Strong winds blow across ice covered ocean waters. It's winter in the Arctic, one of the harshest environments on Earth. But for many animals, this place is home. So, just where is the Arctic? It's about as far north as you can go. It's the North Polar region, the Arctic Ocean, plus the land bordering it. The landscape varies from high icy mountains to tundra. There's a treeless plain where a layer of soil remains frozen all year. And Arctic animals have adapted well to their surroundings with some rather clever survival tactics. That question that is used by Sandra Markle, the author here, is answered really in the second paragraph with the concluding sentence, which is something that authors really like to do. They during the introduction they really like to make sure that you have established some things. First of all, we are talking about Arctic animals here. So when you are writing your annotations, if you're not sure how to begin the sentence, start with the topic. So make the subject of your sentence, first part of your sentence, make that all about the Arctic animals. And you can use that beginning of that sentence for each one of those four uh, sections that you're going to write an annotation for. So the first one, animals survive. I kind of shortened the question to just this word, animals survive. So what do we learn about in here? Okay, well, let's stop and think for a moment. We've got Arctic animals. That's how you can begin the sentence if you're not sure how to begin your annotation. Now, what about them? Well, let's read this concluding sentence one more time. Arctic animals have adapted well to their surroundings with some rather clever survival tactics. So we need to say something in our annotation about Arctic animals, that they survive or they can live in that very, very harsh place because they've got some special things that they can do. Press pause. Go ahead and write down your annotation. I need you to write it down because later on I'm going to ask you to record you reading those annotations. Press pause, write it down. Ready? Okay, here we go. Escape artists. This is interesting. An escape artist, I think about a magician. I think about Harry Houdini, someone that can be locked in restraints, but then they somehow manage to free themselves. I'm not sure what that has to do with polar bears and stuff like that, Arctic animals surviving. But hey, escape. Let's keep that in mind. Some Arctic animals have found clever ways to wait out the long, harsh winters. Okay, now in this section, I know I said that there are four sections, but it's broken up by animals starting here in Escape Artist. So, paragraph 4. So, I imagine that the grizzly bear is going to be thought of by the author as an escape artist, and so is the collared lemming. Yeah, it's kind of like a hamster, groundhog, gopher, furry rodent thing. I had to look it up myself. Okay, so why are these two animals, very different animals, a lemming and then a bear, but they're both considered escape artists? Why? Grizzly bear. This bear spends all spring, summer, and fall eating and storing up fat. Then the bear goes into a special type of sleep. During its winter sleep, the grizzly lives off its stored fat. To conserve energy, the bear's internal temperature drops a few degrees. Its heart rate slows down. Okay, so the bear is kind of escaping from this really really cold weather, the Arctic winter, by it sounds like hibernating. They call it a special type of sleep. I'm sure you know it as hibernating, and so do I. And so the bear kind of is escaping, not literally going away from, but is just kind of like using all of the fat it stored up in its body when it was eating. I wonder if the collared lemming does the same thing as the bear. This furry relative of mice and rats changes its coat from grayish brown to white in winter. It also grows longer front claws. With their claws, lemmings dig tunnels under the wind packed snow. There they live, protected from the cold and their predators. Interesting. So the bear just kind of goes into a sleep and its body just kind of breaks down all of the fat that it's gathered. The lemming does something quite different, changes the color of its fur, of its coat, sorry. That's a pretty neat trick. And then it has long front claws and it digs in the ground until it gets down through the ice and the snow, and then it can live under there, and it's not feeling the cold as much, and it's not going to turn into prey and get eaten by predators. Ooh. Okay, so it's time to write our second annotation, this time for Escape Artists, second section of this nonfiction text. Again, if you want to go ahead and use the term Arctic animals as the subject of your sentence to begin your sentence, that's great. If you don't want to, if you want to write a different sentence, that's okay. But I think the idea of Arctic animals, that's the main topic of this article, so that has to be somewhere in your sentence. Arctic animals. Now, these are two different animals, different size, different shape. They live very differently in the Arctic. So we can just call them Arctic animals, or we could call them certain Arctic animals. What about those Arctic animals? Well, they escape. How do they escape? Well, it's up to you to figure out how you can explain in your sentence. Okay, so they're Arctic animals. They're escaping the winter by doing what? Press pause, write it down. All right, that sounded like a good annotation to me. Let's boogie on. The layered look. Layered look. Now that I think is something that is described as people's fashion. You can wear certain layers, on top of layers, and bring out colors and styles and designs and things just to make it pop. I don't think that really, though, is what the author is trying to get at here. We're not talking about high fashion. Anywho, the layered look. For some animals, being fat means staying alive. That's especially true for animals that hunt and live in the icy waters of the Arctic Ocean. Ooh, okay, so now we've got two. We've got the walrus and we've got a harp seal. Now, even if you're not exactly sure what a harp seal is, we now know that we've entered the water of the Arctic Ocean. Very different than the collared lemming that lives under the ground, and then the grizzly bear, which lives presumably in a den. So now we are looking at special Arctic animals that live in the water. The walrus. This animal keeps warm, even while digging for clams along the bottom of the cold ocean waters. Under its inch-thick hide, the walrus has a nearly 6-inch layer of blubber or fat to block out the cold. During deep-sea dives, warm blood shifts away from the skin surface to inside the body. This helps the walrus keep its body heat stable at about 99 degrees Fahrenheit. When the walrus moves ashore, blood flows back to the skin. Wow, interesting. So that's a lot of internal things. It's not like the collared lemming changing its claws. It's happening all within the body, but it does have a lot to do with the blubber, the fat that is on the walrus's body that can allow it to go down, down, down to the bottom of the ocean and dig for clams. Really, really cold down there. I don't know. I've never done it before, but trust me, I hear, I've read it's cold down there. What about the harp seal? Does the harp seal do the same thing with the blood around its skin? Harp seal. Protected by a thick layer of blubber, haha, similar, the harp seal spends most of its time in icy waters. The seal is a fast swimmer and can stay underwater for 30 minutes at a time. That would be really cool. Its speed in the water allows it to escape its predator, the polar bear. In late winter, females climb onto a chunk of ice to give birth. A seal pup is born with a white, fluffy coat but no blubber. The pup keeps the the pup keeps the coat until it develops a layer of blubber, and that happens fast. On a diet of fat, rich mother's milk, a pup can gain over 80 pounds in just 3 weeks. Wow. Okay, the harp seal. So the harp seal spends most of its time in water, but of course, when it's born, it doesn't have that ability. It needs to get rich, build up its body by drinking mother's milk. And 80 pounds in just 3 weeks. That is wild. Then, of course, then the pup is ready to enter the water. So, harp seals and walrus. We've got Arctic animals in the water. And both of these animals have something that is the same. So you can make sure to include that piece of information, that special part of the animal's body. You can put that word into the predicate of your sentence. Okay, press pause, write your annotation. All right, let's wrap this up, my friends. Dressed for winter is the last one. This time around, we get a hare, an ox, an owl, and a fox. Almost rhymes, doesn't it? But listen, dressed for winter. Again, I'm picturing like the Arctic hare, going to the store and putting on a fancy outfit. No, I don't think so. But I do think it has something to do with their body that allows them to survive Arctic winters. Are very, very good. Dressed for winter. Like you, many Arctic animals change their coats with the seasons. In winter, these animals replace their summer coats with thicker ones to keep them warm when temperatures plunge. They'll wear these winter coats for a long time. Arctic winters can last for 8 months. Oh my gosh. Now, this introduction to this section is very, very important. When we're going to read through all four of these animals, but when it's time to get your annotation going, this is where you really want to come back up in here. There's a great main idea in there. Arctic hare. The Arctic hare living in the northernmost part of the Arctic stays white all year. But its fur coat grows thicker and longer in winter. The hare has small ears which protect it too. Can you figure out how? Less skin is exposed to the cold. The small ears lose less body heat than larger ears. Hmm. Wonder how much body heat I lost in the winter through my ears. All right, so the Arctic hare grows a thicker coat. It doesn't change colored like the collared lemming, but it does get thicker. And with all that extra thick fur on its body, it can stay warmer during the Arctic winter. Musk ox. This animal has a lot of hair to keep it warm. In fact, the native Inuit people called it omingmak, meaning the animal with skin like a beard. Interesting. The musk ox shaggy outer coat covers everything but its feet. Underneath this outer layer of long, coarse hair is even more hair, a soft, woolly coat. The musk ox sheds this undercoat when the weather gets warmer. Musk oxen also have curved hooves with sharp rims. That gives them solid footing on icy slopes. Now, this thing about their sharp rims on their hooves is interesting, but really, when it comes to the musk ox, we have this undercoat of fur that grows just in the winter, and that's what keeps them warm. The snowy owl. Feathers keep this bird warm. The snowy owl's entire body, even its legs and toes, is covered with soft, fluffy feathers. On top of this coat is still another coat of overlapping feathers. When temperatures drop, the owl crouches on the ground behind an object that can block the wind. The owl stays still. Flying would use up precious heat energy. So we have the coat of the musk ox, and we have the fur on the hare. But when it comes to the snowy owl, of course, it has soft, fluffy feathers, and it has that overlapping, and so they're layered. Get it? Remember when this was called the layered look? That's right. All right, last one, the Arctic fox. As winter approaches, the fox replaces its brown summer fur for a longer, heavier, snow white coat. This new coat keeps the fox warm as well as hidden from predators like the wolf. A special blood flow system helps the fox hang on to its normal body temperature. Warm blood flowing toward the fox's legs heats up the cold blood returning from its feet. That means that the Arctic fox has a warm body and cold feet. Having cold feet helps too. Ice doesn't stick to cold toes. Interesting. We had a lot about the body temperature there, a little bit about the toes, but of course it's all about the coat. That's why it's called the layered look in this section. So the Arctic fox replaces its brown summer fur for a longer, heavier, snow white coat. Hmm. Very, very good. All right, so dressed for winter. So I would think the information that you would need to include in your annotation this time around would include Arctic animals, it would have to include information about coats and when they would wear them. Okay? Take all that information, put it into your own sentence, write it down. Press the pause button. Let's do this. Okay, my friends, well done. Now we've got some questions that I need you to answer here at the bottom of the pages, of course. So, what to do? Answer those multiple choice questions and the short answer. Snap a pic and upload it to Seesaw. Don't forget to read your annotations. Record your voice reading them. I can't wait to hear those sentences. Some people are coming up with the best sentences. So good. That's it from me, Mr. Scott, the ultimate champion. I want you to have a wonderful rest of your day, my friends. Be good, stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch face, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow. From Mr. Scott, bye.